Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Dowd, and I'd like to welcome you to our first South Pasadena High School PTSA Forum of the Year, all things SPHS. Our VP of Programs, Jenny Bright, has arranged a great lineup for you. And now I'll turn it over to Jenny.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the forum tonight. We will begin by listening to the entire panel of speakers before taking questions. Especially for those of you who have just joined, please send any questions you have through our chat feature to our two moderators, Laura Morales and Kristen Swift, so that you can find them more easily. Lauren and Kristen have changed their screen names to begin with questions. So send text questions to questions Laura Morales or questions Kristen Swift. Let me now welcome and introduce our first speaker, Principal Janet Anderson.
Hello, happy to see you again. And when I was asked to explain what the job of the principal is at SPHS, I feel compelled to say it's really not like the stereotypical representation you see in TV and movies. I like to say that really the focus is on kids. And I know that's a broad statement, but while we continue to support academics, there are certain passion points I have, things that we've been working on for the last few years, but I think they've become even more important right now in our new environment. And some of those are our collaboration with Stanford University's Challenge Success Program, trying to help kids still meet their goals and also do it in a healthy and balanced way. Also, our work with the Anti-Defamation League, and that created the student club, the Anti-Bias Club, and those students in the club have really taken off with some excellent social outreach that they're doing, and we will be training more students this year, so look for that opportunity. And then also supporting overall wellness. Clearly, this is a very stressful time, and it's not just stressful for adults, it's definitely taking its toll on students. And so what we want to do is give them the tools to build their resilience, to maintain their mental health and their social connections. So I know Mr. Shotwell will talk a lot about some of the things that will be happening with those opportunities to connect with other students. Probably the biggest part of my job, or the underlying part of my job, is to hear what kids imagine, what they want to do, and how they want to shape their school and community, and then start the conversation with yes. Too many times we say, no, it can't be done, but we have to listen and find any opportunity to help make their ideas happen. And as you go through the school, you see lots of areas that are indicative of that, that philosophy. I also think one of the key parts of my job is to be very present at school and student events to show them that what they do matters. So I probably took up too much time. I'll hand it off.
Not at all. Let me introduce our next speaker, Vice Principal David Speck.
Hi, good to see everyone. I'm David Speck, Assistant Principal of Student Services. My department looks a little different in the time of COVID and being at home and distance learning. But normally students would walk into the student service area from the campus near the library, and they would be greeted by Miss Patty Luna at the desk or Miss Ruth Carlson at the attendance office. And we handle a variety of things in student services. We handle community service hours, attendance, student discipline, and I work really closely with our activities and athletic directors on clubs, athletics, organizations on campus. This year with the community service hours, things are a little bit different right now. We're still awaiting a board decision on what we're going to do for our seniors this year. But I really want to reach out and let people know that this is, even though we're in times of COVID and distance learning, a great time to reach out and try to find some ways of helping the community and ways of doing community service virtually and being a little bit creative with that. We have a community service log that can be filled out on the school website under students, under the students tab, and can be sent to Miss Luna. And community service does need to be within a year, so it needs to be turned into us within a year of completion. So just heads up for a lot of our new families out there. If you did community service over the summer or in the spring, make sure that that gets turned into us as soon as possible. Another thing that I want to talk about is attendance. So the attendance office, attendance right now, normally we would take written notes from parents, but at this moment, what we need for families to do is to email our attendance clerk, Miss Ruth Carlson, and her information is on our website as well under students. Email any notes or reasons for absence. We also understand that in this day and age with technical glitches, things can happen and a Zoom meeting might be missed and such. Please, if that is occurring, make sure that you have your child or you reach out to your teacher as soon as possible to let them know that you're having a technical difficulty, and that way we can make notes on our attendance, because we do have to account for absences and students being present. We just need to make sure that we mark it correctly. So I look forward to seeing all the kids and visiting classes and such. And this is going to be a great year, and it's going to be a different year, but I think we're going to have some fun. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So let's move on to Vice Principal Janet Wichman.
Hi, I'm Janet Wichman. I'm the Assistant Principal of Curriculum, Guidance, Instruction, and Testing. So I work with the counselors, I work with the scheduling, testing. I know a lot of people already have had questions about the PSAT test coming up in October. Right now, we don't know if College Board's going to offer it or not, but we're following College Board very closely. So as soon as we find out, we will let everyone know. I'm also the liaison with PCC. And this year we have an exciting new opportunity where we have dual enrollment classes on campus. They're not really on campus, they're virtual, they're remote, but they were supposed to be on campus. So this fall we're offering American Sign Language, Speech, and English 1. And we filled up immediately, the sign language and speech classes filled up. So keep your eye out for that. We're going to be doing it each semester. That's just an exciting new thing that we've been trying to put in place for the last couple of years. So keep your eye open for that. And we are going to have a great year. As everyone else has been saying, it's different, but it's exciting. And it was really fun seeing all the kids when they came and picked up their books the other day.
Thank you, Janet. We'll move on to Natasha Prime, the social worker.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I'm the school social worker, and I am a part of the team that is there to support your students however they need it. Just like Ms. Anderson said, we really have been focusing a lot on our students' overall wellness. And I have a little presentation I'm going to try to do if I can. I'm still kind of new to the presentation thing, but just wanted to give you an overall view of what it is that I do. So I can be reached. Can you all see that? Okay. Basically, I do a bunch of different things. I work with the amazing students, as you heard about Creations and the ASB Wellness students. We worked a lot together over the summer, and I was sort of advising them on Creations. And do check out their Instagram page. It's got a lot of really great things. They've merged the peer mediators with the wellness students. So we're working together. I'm going to help them put out some mindfulness tidbits and things like that. So check back soon. Mostly, if you have a concern with your student, the best way to do it would be to talk to your student's guidance counselor, and then they will assess whether they think it might be good for the students to meet with me for a little bit of extra support. So your guidance counselor is going to be your gateway. The other thing I wanted to quickly say is that I work at the middle school as well, and I'm trying to have a Let's Connect time for our students on Mondays from 2:15 to 3 p.m. via Google Meet. I want it to be sort of drop in, come in, hang out, talk to each other with me there about all things non-academic. If you have any questions, you can reach me at nprime@spusd, and I will be happy to answer them or any later on. Thanks.
Thank you, Natasha. Now let's hear from our counselor, Marilyn Garcia.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Tonight I am here to tell you a few highlights from the counseling office. And I just want to also emphasize that we do work very closely with Natasha, and we do the referrals to her, and we always try to do all the referrals and speak to the students right away and handle that as quickly as possible. So we do know that everybody's going through a different time, and we are here to support everyone with whatever their needs are. But some of the highlights for the counseling department this year, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be visiting with the freshmen, and we would like to encourage all of you to have your freshmen meet with us during their study hall session. So that will be all the counselors and the administrators, and we just want to say hello to them. And then following that, we will be meeting with the seniors, because there's many deadlines that are coming that will be happening soon, and we would like to meet with our seniors. So all the counselors will be meeting with their group of seniors, and those dates haven't been set yet, but they will be happening within the next couple of weeks. Some of the other things related to seniors, we will be having a senior night, and that will be on September 9th. And we will be doing, I suspect we'll be doing Zoom meetings. We will have some college representatives on that evening. So we hope that all the senior parents and students will be able to participate with that. And in addition to that, we're going to have a financial aid night, as well as information on scholarships. And that will be on September 30th. So those are 2 nights that maybe senior parents, if anybody's listening, would make a point to attend. Following the seniors, we will be meeting as well with sophomores and juniors, and we do some short visits with them and say hello and let them know how they can contact us. So most of the students, since school started and before school started, have been either emailing us, or we've been doing Google Meets, as well as phone calls, and we've been doing that with parents as well. So if any of you need to contact any of us, please don't hesitate. The first couple of days of school, I know maybe some of our responses were a little delayed, but we usually answer within 24 hours and at the most 48 hours. So again, you can just email us, and then we'll make arrangements whether you want to meet with us by phone, or just email is enough, or on a Google Meet. Something else we'll be doing this year, as was mentioned already, will be the Naviance Night. So all the counselors will participate with that, and that's coming up, and that's through the PTSA. And then down the road in the spring, every year we do a college fair for the entire school, and then we have a special night that evening with juniors to do some case studies so they have a better understanding of the college admission process. And then we as well have presentations for the freshmen and the sophomore parents. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that last spring, so we're very hopeful that we can have that presentation as well in the springtime. And I don't have anything else for now, but we are very happy that school has started, and we look forward to meeting the students in the next couple weeks.
Thank you, Marilyn. Let's hear from Casey Shadwell, in charge of student activities.
Good evening. I'm very fortunate, as I had the opportunity over the course of the summer to meet with the leadership class. It's one of my primary responsibilities. And that class has continued to grow in recent years. You've already heard this evening from both Ms. Prime and Ms. Anderson about our more recent focus on student wellness. So a few years ago, we added 2 health and wellness officers to the class. And then this past year, we decided to also add a representative from Challenge Success Program, as well as one from peer mediators. And so you've heard a bit about that already this evening, the survey that's going out, as well as creations. Creations, though, also came from, because the emphasis is not just coming from the 4 of them. That program in part came from our Commissioner of Academics, Kimberly Schreier, as well as there's a real interest in their part in helping our students to strike that that appropriate balance when they're in their approach to academics and how to balance that with their own personal lives, and give them the strategies and the skills that they need in order to do that. This summer, and the start of the school year, one of the things that resulted in is, hopefully many of you saw the new student orientation video. I believe Ms. Anderson sent it out to many of the families, and then I think all of the families later. And that project was headed up by our Commissioner of Internal Affairs, Katie Holman, as well as our new videographer, Elliot Carell, who did, I think, a fantastic job. And this year we will be, obviously, we'll be looking towards our online presence to really connect with the student body as much as we can. So along those lines, we have a YouTube channel. So videos like that will find a home there, so they can be viewed at a later date as well. We're also currently revamping the ASB website. Alex Haw has taken on that challenge this year, and really trying to beef up our presence through Instagram and Facebook and the rest, to really make sure that we connect with the students. In the leadership class, I work with the various commissioners, who are the school-wide officers, as well as the class officers, and we're adapting everything we do to our new reality here, at least for the time being. And the freshman officers, for example, already with their class advisor, Miss Gail, have a class bonding event that they're planning. We're making as much use as we can of Zoom, which the district has hooked all the teachers up with, and the various breakout rooms have been really, really helpful. We'll be using that with creations at the end of the month as well. What else can I tell you? Oh, I should also tell you I work with all of the ASB organizations, so that would include our CTE programs like Virtual Business, the Performing Arts, our publications, COPA, which is our yearbook, and the Tiger newspaper. And right now we've been just transitioning a lot. Fortunately, the Tiger newspaper already has a very strong presence online, so I don't think they really missed the beat at all this summer. But it did pose a bit of a challenge when it comes to budgeting for these things for the coming year. The final thing I will mention this evening is our club system. We have a very active club system, usually about 70 to 80 clubs on campus each year. And we're about to start that process again. So students will have the opportunity to create new clubs or to reinstate existing clubs. That'll happen within the next few weeks. And then we'll look at hosting a virtual club rush in September. So all that information will be coming out real soon. So if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. But thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Let's hear now from Andrea Fox, in charge of the internship program.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is a great opportunity to learn about so many different things at the high school. And I am here to talk to you about the internship program. This is a program that's now starting its 5th year. It's really hard for me to believe that it's already been 5 years. And I'm proud to say that we've had almost 200 students complete internships in those years. So we're really happy with the way the program has been running. In a typical year, we usually work with 25 to 30 different employers where students can work in internships during the course of the school year. This year, we will have fewer opportunities available, but we will still be connecting students with internships this fall. So that is good news, especially after the summer. Summer of 2020 was unique. We did not run the program in the summer, but we did have 3 students participate for the first time in the Metro TCAP program. So that's the Transportation Career Academy program through Metro Los Angeles. So those students really had a tremendous experience even in the time of COVID. So we're happy to report that internships are still moving right along. So how does the process work? So one of the things that I really want to point out is this is a program for juniors and seniors at the high school. So for those of you who have freshmen and sophomores, you have a few years before your students are ready to participate. The students will complete 2 prerequisite workshops as part of this program. And once they've completed the workshops, then it acts just like a normal job placement process. So students will look at the various internship opportunities that we have available, and they will send resumes and cover letters to the jobs that interest them, and then go through a competitive interview process to be hired for the internship. Once they are hired, then the internship appears as a course on their schedule. But instead of meeting during the regular school day as a class, the students work at their internships and earn course credit for the work that they do. Throughout the semester, they work for 60 hours, and at the end of the semester, then they receive the course credit. During the semester, we're checking in with them regularly. We also introduce them to guest speakers who come in and talk about their careers and help with professional development and what it's like to be working in the real world. So that's a general overview of the internship program. Let me know if you are interested in offering your talents. We are always looking for internship partners. So if you are interested, or if your company has an internship program, I would love to hear about it. That said, we'd also, if you have a very interesting career that you think students would benefit hearing about, if you would let me know, that would be great, because we're also, like I mentioned, we bring guest speakers in all the time to talk to students about various careers. So I will type in the chat my email address and also the website for the program, because there's a lot of information on the website for your students as well. And we also have an Instagram, so I will include that in the chat as well, so you can learn more information.
Thank you, Andrea. Let's hear from Anthony Chan, Athletics now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Chan. I'm the athletic director. We had definitely a lot of, I felt like we had a lot of momentum going in athletics up until March, and then we had a little screeching stop. But we're trying our best to just keep the momentum going. In case you are kind of new to athletics at the high school here, we offer 24 different sports. We have a lot of very strong teams, and nearly 600 something students participate. So it is something that I think rounds out the curricular activities. So I think a lot of people should consider encouraging their kids to join. At this time, though, we do not have practices in person, and we'll keep exploring the options and kind of waiting to hear a little bit more about when we can start up. In case you didn't know, CIF proposed a calendar of kind of sports being between December to March and March to June. And there are no guarantees about that sports will start at that time. It's just a proposal that we should schedule things, but we don't know necessarily if we'll have them. Okay, so that's kind of some of the negative stuff. But on the positive note, we definitely are excited to have you guys back at some point. The athletics renovation is near completion. The gym is getting brand new floors and bleachers, and it looks great. The weight room is being completely renovated, and it's going to be very safe and just absolutely gorgeous. Additionally, we have a field house that's coming in. You can kind of see it as you drive by. There's a brand new athletic training room for our full-time certified athletic trainer, and he's there to cover all of our games and make sure our students are healthy and taken care of, and as well as a film room for our student athletes to prepare for matches. There's a lot of positive things to look forward to, and I think once we hear a little bit more, or once we know more, we can start considering to have athletics.
Thank you, Anthony. Now let's hear from Diane from Boosters. Diane Parker.
Thanks, Jenny. Hi, I'm Diane. I'm the president of the SPHS Tiger Booster Club. There's also a Music Booster Club that's a separate organization. The Tiger Booster Club supports clubs and sports and other academic activities. We're a fundraising group. Usually our largest fundraiser is bingo, but because of COVID, bingo has been shut down since March, and that has put a huge damper on the students' opportunity to raise money for their activities, their sports teams, their clubs, their COPA, Tiger, newspaper, all of those groups. And so we're trying to find other ways to fundraise. We've looked into various forms of virtual bingo. We still haven't lost hope on that, but we're not quite there yet with that. We also have the Tiger Run as one of our main fundraisers, which is coming up in November, which will be a virtual run this year. We're still nailing down all the specifics of that, but you can look forward to hearing more about that virtual run. We, as an organization, through our general fund, we provide it ends up being about $40,000 in grants that we give out to clubs, to sports teams, to various other academic groups on campus. And we're really hopeful that this year we can continue to do that because the kids are still active, they're still doing things. And so we want to support that. We also give scholarships to graduating seniors. And so we're hoping that you will become members of the Booster Club, or also it's our 50th anniversary this year. So if you would participate in our $50 for 50 years campaign, we would really appreciate it so that we can continue to support the kids and allow them to really thrive this year. You can reach us on SPHSboosters.org. We also are on Facebook and Instagram, and I think Rachel put earlier in the chat what our handles are there. And so we hope you will join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. So that concludes our speakers on the panel. Now we can take your questions, but for anyone who's joined recently, please send any questions you have through our chat feature to our two moderators, Laura Morales and Kristen Swift. You can find them because they've changed their names to say questions. So questions Laura Morales or questions Kristen Swift. So with that, we'll go ahead and take any questions we have.
Kristen, I'll go first because I think this is a good one. Somebody asked, will there be a back to school night?
Yes, we are working on that and wanted to be in line with what some of the other schools are doing. When we first proposed this about a month ago, we found out that it was just way too much for the teachers to consider at that juncture. So this week I'm putting out kind of a revised idea for how we can do it. And it'll probably involve, some live and portions for some teachers, but at least an overview and a virtual visit to their programs. And that will be coming up pretty quickly before we have back to school night. The teachers will be sending out their syllabi to each of their families. The kids got them on the first day, but the teachers are revising them. We'll send them out to parents, and parents will have an opportunity to look that over before viewing the back to school night. I'll just call it a video at this point because we're still shaping that up.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, Kristen, do you want to?
Sure. I have two about attendance, so I'm just going to ask them both, and hopefully one of the administrators can answer them. One was they received a phone call about their child arriving late to a class, and he emailed the teacher because of Zoom issues, but do they also need to follow up with the attendance office? And the other one is if a student can't log into class and they lose their internet connection in the middle, or they lose the internet connection in the middle of class and can't connect back, what should they do? Is emailing their teacher enough? Or again, what do we do about attendance stuff?
The best, I'll take that. The best thing to do for the second one is to make sure that they email the teacher and let them know, and the teacher will follow up with Ms. Carlson, our attendance clerk, about the absence. And right now we're still looking into our policies and revising and figuring out how to account for student engagement as well as student attendance. So if you do get a phone call that your student was late or that they were absent from a course, if you've already given the teacher a note, if you've emailed the teacher or the attendance clerk, it's more of a record keeping thing at this point. We're not penalizing students. We just revised our auto dialer as well, so it doesn't mention Saturday schools and some of the other consequences and things that we had in in-person schooling. It's just we are working on our ways to track attendance and just make sure that students are there. And if you are having consistent technology issues, we're having, we're going to take note and reach out and see if there's any way we can help and support you.
Okay, thank you. And so I'm just going to ask them, and then you guys can thank Janet and David, because I think these are for you. The first one is, what grades can take the PSAT if it is that the College Board opens it up? And then also, have 504 plans been distributed to all teachers yet? And when can we expect meetings to discuss them be scheduled? So.
Okay, we're going to toss that first part to Janet Witchman and the second part to Marilyn Garcia.
Okay, the PSAT is usually for 11th graders, and 10th graders take it as well. So it's the 11th graders, and if you take it as an 11th grader, that's when you can earn your National Merit Scholarship Awards and things like that. But most kids take it in 10th and 11th grade.
Thank you.
Hi. As far as 504 meetings, we have notified all the teachers regarding the students that they have in their classroom that have 504s. And then we are in the process of beginning to organize some meetings, but most likely we won't be doing our meetings until probably mid-September through October, because the only time that we can gather the teachers is in the afternoon between 1:30 and maybe 3 o'clock. And there are quite a few meetings that we have to organize along with other IEPs. So we're trying to come up with a system that we can schedule the meetings as soon as possible, but there will be a little bit of maybe lag in what our preference is as far as what we normally do.
I have another question for you, Marilyn. Will there be an informal presentation on AP classes later about prerequisites and how to sign up for those classes?
Yes, so we had those last year. We started those in December, and prior to scheduling for the spring. And so we will do that again. If we don't do it in December, we'll do it before, definitely before the scheduling, which happens, begins to happen in late January.
Okay, I only have one other question. So if anybody else has questions, please throw them in the chat box or send them to Kristen or myself. So I guess this is for Jenna Witchman, because it has to do with the PCC announcement. It says, what's the advantage of taking the dual class at PCC?
Okay, the dual enrollment, you're going to be getting college credit as well as high school credit. So it just gives you a head start on your college credits when you do go to college. And you also get used to see what college classes are like. But that you do get credit for college and high school in the dual enrollment.
Thanks. And I have a question about volunteer hours. The question is, can students obtain their approval via email rather than signature given the current times?
Yes, that's a possibility. Make sure that if we have the form online and it's a fillable PDF form. So if at all possible, the best bet would be to fill that out, email that to the person approving it. And if they're able to electronically sign it, that would be great. Otherwise, if the person responsible for the hours could send an email to, and I'm going to put Miss Luna's email address in the chat box, as well as the attendance clerk's email address. They can send an email with their company name, phone number, and everything on there. We just need to make sure it's verifiable and it's within a year of the service as well, from a nonprofit organization.
Great. And then I got another one. Are foreign language placement tests still being offered?
Yes, we have any student that wanted to be in a different level. Like if they'd never taken French, for example, but they're a French speaker, then we arrange with the teacher to give them a placement test. We've still been doing placement tests this year. So if anyone needs one, just let their counselor know and they can arrange it with the teacher.
Okay, I have a question about when, I'm trying to clarify, I believe the question is when AP exam tests, when that process will start for students, what grade, I guess, and when will they start announcing placement?
You mean for taking the AP test?
Correct.
Okay, they did change it last year. It used to be you had to register by, I think it was February or March. Now you have to register by October 1st. So as soon as, for the tests that are in May. So as soon as we get scheduling and everyone's, in their classes and everything's running smoothly, probably the next couple of weeks, you'll start getting information about how to sign up for the AP test. Right now, the AP teachers are getting the students enrolled into the AP classroom, which is a way where they can do practice tests, and there's different lessons in there for the AP classes. So the teachers are working on that right now, and then probably beginning of September, we'll start sending out information about how to sign up for the AP test. And it's going to be a little different this year because we used to have people bring checks into the office. So we're working on an online way to pay this year.
I have one more, Kristen, unless you have one.
I have no more.
Okay, this is a good one because I want to know this as well. It says, will school be putting together a list of volunteer opportunities for various organizations? Usually they would have appeared in the daily bulletin. Thank you. Is there a daily bulletin? What happened to that?
That's actually something we're working on right now, making sure that we get the daily bulletin. We're going to be brainstorming some ideas. I actually just talked to Mr. Shotwell about this afternoon, brainstorming some ideas of how to get it out there. Because during the school year in person, we would have it read during a class period. But so we're going to try to find a creative way to have it. It's always been linked to our SPHS Tigers homepage. So even during the regular school year, we've always had the daily bulletin posted there. So we're going to try to figure out a way that we can reach all students, whether it's via the daily bulletin in its old format or if it's via website. So we're going to figure that all out and have that for everyone. And then that way we could list some community service hours. And a lot of it will be based on things and organizations that reach out to us and things that we've seen students do recently due to what's available in these strange times.
One comment about that I got was if there's any way to push the daily bulletin out to a mailing list and parents could get it, anything we can do. I just said that I was reading something.
That sounds great. Yeah, we're looking at all ways of doing it, and we're going to try to find the best way that we can have someone work on that and make sure that the information gets out in a timely manner. So yeah,
that'd be awesome. And then I did get one more question, which is the website for SPHS doesn't look like bell schedule is updated, and there's not some of the most recent updates. And I know it might be temporary, but is that going to be updated so we can easily find that information?
Yes, that's a really good point. That and the calendar. Usually when we are setting a calendar, we start in March or April. We have a group that sits down and it's like brain surgery. And it takes most of the summer to get it fully charted out with all the things we're offering. Well, perhaps you've heard this year is different. And so we are still trying to populate the calendar with things like what Mrs. Garcia was talking about, the counseling nights and back to school night, all sorts of things. So we really are a work in progress right now. I know that's frustrating from the user end, and it's probably, it's a bit frustrating on our end too, because we're used to just really throwing it all out there and people know what's going on. And of course I had to give up on my fridge friendly multi-page calendar that you could put right on your refrigerator to know what was happening at each moment. But we will get better at this as we adjust to, well, we didn't know too much about our schedule until right before school. So now that we do, we need to get that up on the website, and we will populate our calendar as best we can. But thank you for mentioning that.
Actually, the bell schedule was recently updated on the website. So the bell schedule is up to date, but there may be some other things. And I'm going to look and make sure that it's updated everywhere, because sometimes you update one thing and everything else needs to be updated as well. But I'll put that in the chat as well so everyone can see a modified version of bell schedule.
And may I mention something else? Nobody asked this, but I know that prior to this meeting, people have asked. For some reason that we cannot figure out, some students' schedules do not indicate who their counselors are. Everything we see from our end shows the counselor designation. But I've had lots of kids write to me and say, will you please tell me, I don't have a counselor, or will you tell me who my counselor is? So we've been connecting them, but we're still trying to figure out why that's not showing up for some people on Aries, and we definitely want to connect our kids with their counselors, and the counselors will be doing outreach. At the same time, we definitely want the students to know if they need to contact the counselors first, who their contact is and how to do that. So that's definitely on our list as well.
Okay, I got sorry.
I was going to pop out 2 questions, and then let Janet kind of decide who she wants to answer. One of them has to do with the format of the current virtual classrooms that I experienced this past week. Will that continue throughout the semester? Will teachers receive feedback regarding their classrooms as they did last semester? And then the next one is about Naviance, so I guess we'll let, will there be an orientation for parents to understand how to navigate it for parents, 10, 11, and 12th graders, parents that are not new?
Let's have Marilyn take the last part, and then I'll go back and try and remember the first part.
So the Naviance presentation that we're going to do through the PTSA will be open to everyone. So it's not only for new parents, but all parents. That's what we've done in the past, and we've had a really good turnout. I'm not sure this year if we have the parameters to invite everybody, so that's something we'll be working with the PTSA on, but what I'm guessing is that we will open it up for anybody that has questions.
Okay, and then thank you for putting in the chat what that question was. Last spring, we were doing what was called independent study distance learning. And so at that time, there wasn't, a lot of our teachers did do some live instruction, a lot of connecting. They all had office hours, but not everyone was doing interactive teaching. Partly because we didn't have the setup. We were working on just pulling it together very quickly. And we did not have the direction that the teachers had to spend a certain amount of time in interactive instruction with the students. Now for each 80-minute period, it's at least half of the class would be in live interaction. So what that might look like would be maybe opening the class, taking roll, greeting, talking about the day's lesson, and then giving some background, some information, and then giving an assignment for guided practice or independent practice. If it's guided practice, the teachers might be pulling some students into small groups and working with them and then rotating around to the other kids. If it's independent practice, that might be a time when the camera goes off and students are working, then they might come back to the teacher for debriefing on what they've done or a discussion. So it's going to look different in different classes, but the amount of time is still 50% of whatever period they have. And teachers have been going through all the same hiccups, if we can call them that, as students with the technology, and learning how to make sure that they are reaching all the students. But they have been so supportive of one another. We have some experts and we have some people who are asking some really good questions, and the troubleshooting is happening among the staff members. Tomorrow we are working on some Zoom glitches, and the whole staff is getting together to hear from Chad Bryant, our district digital citizenship and technology guru. And so it's a work in progress, but yes, we are evaluating teachers, or at least at this point. The plan is to evaluate teachers this year as we do every year. And we are also trying to figure out how we can, I've had some teachers invite me to their classrooms. And so I will be joining those, as will the other administrators. And I'm hopeful that just like we do in physical school, we can do drop-in visits to their classrooms just to see what's going on and to help, to troubleshoot, and to support, and just see how the lessons are going.
This follows up on that, and I think you started answering it, but one question I got was, what kind of feedback have you gotten about how the distance learning is going for students and teachers? You kind of touched on the teacher part, but.
It's been really interesting because at the textbook distribution, so many students remarked about how much they like it and that they're comfortable with it this year. And a lot of parents have talked about how they see a qualitative difference and quantitative, but a qualitative difference from spring. And they've been very appreciative. They can see the efforts that have gone into it. And we also, I will mention, we're getting some more technology that should help teachers, like extra screens. They're getting iPads, so perhaps they can better see the kids on one screen or monitor while they are projecting something or doing something using another monitor. So as we work through those things, I think it's going to get easier for everyone involved. But I've heard some pretty good feedback so far, and at least a recognition that people have tried to up their game. I mean, our teachers went to, they had 23 hours of paid time, but I know they did multiples of the 23 hours in professional development. A lot of things about how to teach in distance learning, how to use the available technology, and so forth. So I'm really proud of the effort that people have put in, and the fact that they are very willing to say, hey, I don't get this, and then somebody else jumps in and says, I'll help you.
Janet, I sent you a question about, did you see that? Can students send feedback about the schedule to Ms. Anderson? For example, breaks between classes are short. Any chance of adding 5 minutes to make 15 rather than 10 minutes?
Well, we did add, we added the lunch that was not previously in the schedule because we thought that that was kind of a lot to go through. And I knew that from our negotiation sessions, I knew that the Teachers Association was interested in having a lunch break. So we did add that. I don't know. Yes, they can send their feedback, and we probably can revisit to some extent, but it takes agreement on everyone's part. But I would like to hear how it's going for them. I would also think that some of them probably want the breaks to be short so they can get on with their day a little more quickly. So it may be both sides of the coin.
Will you be doing any surveys or town halls to collect feedback, or are you just expecting that people will send
after things settle down, we can do that, but that's not on the very near horizon because there are other things that I think we need to handle first. But yes, feedback's going to be important.
I have a question about SAC cards and how to get one and what they are. Mr. Shotwell.
I'll take that question. SAC cards are student activities cards, and that was one of my big challenges, to be quite honest, this summer, is looking at exactly what to do with those, because the activities cards, one of the main benefits of them has been in the past, it gives you free admission to our football and our basketball games. And that is a little bit up in the air at this point in time. But the primary thing that the activities card does, it supports all of our ASB organizations, the classes, the clubs, athletics, for all the games that we have. It pays for the officials for those games, and so forth and so on. In return, students, once again, they get free admission to those games, they get discounts in the events that we hold. In the event that we don't have a return to any events like that over the course of this year, we will be looking at other ways of rewarding the students who have purchased for that. Those who purchased the card have already received a free Tiger Guide with that card, so that's one of the benefits they received. In addition, if they purchased it in combination with the yearbook, they received a discount on a yearbook. But we'll be looking to add to that. As to where to purchase the cards, they may be purchased online. If you go to SPHS tigers.org, on our website there's a web store, and they can, purchases can be made there. In addition to that, our financial clerk, James Jontz, the man of about 12,000 hats, is currently on campus, at least for the next few weeks, from 1 to 3 in our student bank, and he's set up to take people there to make purchases, credit card, cash, or check. I did, last thing I'll add to that is we took a long, hard look, and Ms. Anderson can confirm this, at how this year will be different from last year and the rest of them kind of planning going forward. And we did scale things down. If you were here for the PTSA meeting earlier in the budgeting of that, we went through a very similar process with that. But we want to be able to react and respond to whatever the circumstances are and to support the students as best we can.
Okay, great. So we're gonna be wrapping this up soon. So maybe like 2 more questions if there's anyone else out there with questions.
That's actually great because I only have 2 more left and Laura doesn't have any. So we'll just finish off our questions and then be done. My one question is for Mr. Chan. It says, can Mr. Chan please explain how the new sports seasons would work if we are able to be held them in 2021?
So that's a good question. Ultimately, we would be able to start practice at some point amongst the league, and I myself have like a league meeting tomorrow. We kind of have this discussion that we have, pretty much every other day, every day, where we're talking amongst each other whether or not, we feel like, oh, well, we've heard some news, we can maybe open up for practice, things like that. Once we do have practice, then you'd have fall sports. They've renamed fall sports as in December, essentially. So there's really just 2 seasons. There's one that goes from December to March and one from March to pretty much June. There is a little bit of overlap for some sports. For example, I'm thinking like tennis and softball are now in the same season. Those things can be worked out with coaches and myself. As that kind of happens, we'll talk about those. As far as, I think those are kind of the things that are up in the air. I'm trying to think if there's an additional question to that I can answer, just because it's kind of a broad question.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we don't know till we know, do we? Okay, I have one more question, and this is back to the administrators, and this is about cohort A and cohort B. Did you actually assign the cohorts? And if so, can we find out which one we are, or is that something that's waiting to be done?
They are assigned, and they were based on what? No, Janet, why don't you take this? They were assigned based on cohort C. So what we had to do was figure out how many people were in C, and then create, basically it was thirds, because we ended up with about 30% in cohort C. So each class needed an A cohort and a B cohort that would be pretty much equal to that and not exceeding 13 or so students. And we grouped them by families from the middle school to the high school. And so if you have siblings at the middle school or high school, you would be in cohort B. Janet, you could take the one about sharing that information. I'm not sure it matters unless we do come back in a hybrid, because right now it's simply a construct we use to make sure that if we do come back in hybrid, we can serve all students equally. Janet?
Right, I thought that everyone could see their cohort actually on, because I can see it and all of us can see it when we look at their schedule. And I just assume that all the parents could see it too. It just has, I don't think there's any reason not to know, but like Ms. Anderson said, it doesn't really matter cohort A or B unless we do come back. And then that's probably when we'll send it out to everyone, I guess. It's what if you signed up for, if you didn't sign up for online learning, like Janet said, we were just split them into thirds. So part of them are in B and part of them are in A.
But it's no secret.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, anything else? Anyone else have anything to say about that? No? Okay. Well, so with that, we will conclude our forum. A few closing notes. Just once again, Naviance coming up in September for grades 10 through 12. And if you have any further questions that didn't get answered here tonight, you can always email Janet Anderson, Janet Wichman, and David Speck, as well as Jim Dowd, our PTSA president.
Awesome. Thank you all again to all of our panelists, and thanks to our VP of Programs, Jenny Bright, for putting this forum together. I realize some of you might still have some questions, so I did put a slide together with those email addresses that Jenny just mentioned, as well as those Naviance dates. And we're hoping to, in case you have friends that are wondering about, they missed the forum, we did record this, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to get this up on our YouTube page. So thanks everyone for your patience tonight.
Jim, may I say one thing about the emails? If you do email multiple people, what we try to do is let the other people know if we, so let's say you write to David, Janet, and me, and I answer it, I try to let them know. So please don't feel slighted if you only get an answer from one person. What we're trying to do is not duplicate answers for one question.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll share my screen, and that will conclude our evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.